Whoa. You guys have a gift.
Thank you.
Well done. Satellite are our new best friends up here on the stage. Let's get on a first name basis and also tell us where you're from. Can we find out who's who and where you originally hail from?
Originally?
Yeah, originally, mister.
All right. My name is Stephen McMorrin. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. All
right. Yeah. Good for you. I'm Eric Curtis, and I'm from Los Angeles, California.
I'm Josh Donahue, and I'm from Bakersfield, California.
Bakersfield.
My name is Darren Rail, and I'm from Anderson, Indiana.
I'm going to repeat that for everybody. His name is Darren Rail, and he's from Anderson, Indiana.
There it is. You guys came together in Los Angeles. Is that where you're based out of now? Is that correct?
No, we're more or less based out of Nashville now.
Nashville.
We were in Los Angeles for a while, but there was a move that needed to happen, and as it did, I am so glad to be in Nashville. I love that city.
Seems like that. Talk about a breeding ground of great music.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of my heroes are there, or were there.
Yeah,
if they're still alive.
Calling Birds, your debut album. You had an EP that was released a few years ago. How hard was it to make this record?
It was more or less a cathartic experience over the course of years. So you ever heard that idea of you can have good, cheap, and fast, right? If those are the three things, but you can only have two of them, right?
Yeah.
We took the good and cheap. We made it as cheaply as possible, but took a long time to do it. And it was a very a healing thing for me because it walked me through a number of years that these songs are milestones and mile markers inside of. So the name Calling Birds is referencing the first sound you hear in the dark part of the night that remind you the morning's coming, that the sun's coming up. So in a lot of ways, that's what these songs have been. They've been something that have reminded me that the sun's going to come up, and here we are.
Yeah,
it's bright and shiny.
The coming together of your band, I think, is kind of interesting and kind of unique. Coming together. Tell us how it came together and what you were doing right before the formation of Satellite.
Well, I had moved to Los Angeles after college. I wanted to be a doctor most of my life, and I graduated to go into med school. And the actual doctors looking at me from across the interview, they were cockeyed, going, "You don't want to do this," and I was like, I really don't. And so I took some time off and wound up in Los Angeles and wound up writing songs. And I had some rather large artists cut some songs of mine, and that got me to a publisher. But then that just burned me out in a certain way. And so the common thing became, if I'm going to do this, what kind of songs do I want to write, and what I want it to sound like? If I were the artist, how would that go? And then this is it. Yeah. This is it. And so we kind of formed this idea more or less, and then figured out how to pull it off.
Mm-hmm. For those that don't know, I think you're kind of downplaying because you wrote some, I don't know if you don't have to name drop, but you wrote for some really big name artists.
Yeah, mainly like your mom's favorite artist. Like I'm your mom's favorite songwriter. I wrote for Celine Dion and Michael Bolton.
But still, I mean, those are huge names. I mean,
no, they are. And there's some cooler references in there. Not that those aren't cool, but there's some younger references in there too that aren't big ballad singers.
Right.
But I tend to belt, so I think that's why I get those.
Is it harder? What's the difference? And is it harder to write for yourself versus for other artists? And how is there a difference?
I find it easier to write for myself.
Yeah.
Because I can just let it breathe and not finish the song until I know it's ready. Mm-hmm. And there's a feeling that I feel whenever it's finally done, right? They kind of start to feel like children after a while.
Sure.
And then you finally get to see this thing. But if you're writing for another artist, then there's usually a deadline, and that usually comes along with some pressure, and it needs to sound like this versus this, and maybe mix this thing with this thing, and then we turn it into the label, see what they think, and
right.
It's just math in a lot of ways.
The songs you were writing, was it lyrics or was it the song? Ballads, all the above?
It was the song.
Yeah. Well, your baby, I guess, your child is calling birds, and you'll play some more from it now? Yeah?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for coming into the Bing Lounge.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thanks for
Please
having me.
make some noise, Satellite. Thanks.